Hi everyone, it's Melissa, and today I am doing the in or out book tag. The original creator is Rick MacDonnell. I will post his video below. And I just thought this was really fun. It's a list of different book tropes or book pet peeves or just different bookish things, and you have to say whether you are in or out on those particular tropes or trends. And my cat's cleaning herself, so we'll just wait till she's done. So prompt number 1 is reading the last page first. I am definitely out for this one. I don't think that knowing the end of a book spoils the book or ruins a book, but I am someone who very much enjoys surprises and novelty, so I would never read the last page first. Prompt number 2 is enemies to lovers. And I'm going to be in for this one. I know this one is a really controversial one. It has to be done right. It can be done wrong so very easily, but when it's done well, it's done really well, and I just find it an interesting dynamic in a lot of books. So yeah, I definitely, when done well, enjoy the enemies to lovers trope. Prompt 3 is dream sequences. And I don't feel particularly strongly about this one, but I'm going to go with out. Because I just can't recall a book where I thought it added anything remarkable to the book. And just because I can't think of a time where I thought it was like crucial to the book, I'm going to say out for that one. Prompt number 4 is love triangles. I think I might go out for this one, but I don't feel very strongly about it because I think this is one that can be very interesting in books, but I just think it's getting overused at this point. Prompt number 5 is cracked spines. I'm going in for this one. I don't purposely crack spines. I know some people do like to kind of like snap it as soon as they get it. And I would never intentionally, quote unquote damage a book. But I have to admit, once a book is cracked, once you have that well-loved book with the cracked spine, it's just easier to hold open and read. And I don't mind, like, yes, it's nice to have like nice pristine spines for like, your Instagram pic. But I think there's something nice about seeing a book that has obviously been well loved and read many times. Prompt number 6 is back to my small town. Definitely in for this one. I don't know if this is a small town thing because I grew up in a village of like, I don't know, fewer than 2,000 people. It was very small, and I have mixed feelings about that experience because some things about growing up in a small town are wonderful and some things are not, and I definitely wouldn't like move back to my small town. But I do love when that happens in books where you're forced for one reason or another, the protagonist is forced to go back to the small town that they grew up in. Prompt number 7 is monsters are regular people. So whether I'm in or out kind of depends on what you mean by that question or that prompt. Because when I first heard Rick say it, my immediate interpretation was the scariest things in life are not monsters, they are other people. Like, other people are the monsters. So that's how I took it. But Rick interpreted it more as almost like making like monstrous people more sympathetic. Like, oh, monsters are just people like us. How I interpret it as the most monstrous things to be afraid of in the world are other people. Then I am all in. I think that is the most, more than anything supernatural, the most horrific horror books, the most like suspenseful, like apocalyptic novels all have an element of people as the monsters, and I love it. Definitely all in. Prompt number 8 is no paragraph breaks. I don't think I've ever read a book like this, but it sounds awful, so I'm gonna say out. Why would you do this? I don't think that would look very nice. I think that would look cluttered on the page and like No, I need the breaks. Prompt number nine is multi-generational sagas. I'm gonna go out. I don't feel very strongly towards this. It's not like I would go out of my way necessarily to avoid books that were multi-generational sagas, but it's never something that I pick up. I never pick up a book. I never seek that out intentionally. Prompt 10 is rereading. Definitely in. I don't reread as much as I would like to. It's actually one of my reading goals for this year is to reread more. And I haven't been doing a lot of it, more than last year. But I don't understand people who don't reread books. Like, you rewatch movies that you enjoyed. Why wouldn't you reread a book? To me, that's just logical. I don't know. So yes, I'm very much in for rereading. Prompt 11 is artificial intelligence. Yes, 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 I am in. I love science fiction, specifically the type of science fiction that delves into humanity and what makes a human and the line between things that are and aren't human and all that kind of speculative crap. I love it all. And my cat is licking herself again. Boomer, just chill out. Just chill out. Prompt number 12 is drop caps. I didn't know what these were, so I had to look them up. I will insert a couple pictures, but they're those like big first letters, like in the start of a chapter. I am in. I love the look of these, even the more simple ones. Like I'll try to choose a simple one for like here. I like that. I think it just looks really nice. There's something aesthetically pleasing about it, but I also like fancy ones like down here, or even the like traditional like medieval type stuff, as long as it fits with the story. Yeah, I really like drop caps. Didn't know that had a term, but of course it does. So there you go. Prompt 13 is happy endings. If I have to choose one or the other, I'll choose in, but this is another one that I don't feel very strongly about, and I'm kind of like split right down the middle, 50-50, but I'll say in because sure, happy endings are fine. Prompt 14 is plot points that only converge at the end. I feel like it would depend on how close to the end we're talking. I'm fine with that, so I'll go in. I'm fine with that. I kind of like the suspense of waiting to see how things are going to tie together. If it was at the very, very end, maybe that would be annoying, but I like things that feel very suspenseful. I like that feeling of anticipation, so for me, I'll go in for this. Prompt 15 is detailed magic systems. I'm going to go out. There's kind of like a Goldilocks zone of what the perfect amount of detail is. Not enough, and maybe the world won't feel real or lived in too much, and it just bogs things down and makes things not seem real in the other direction, because in our real world, like, who is spitting out that much detail about things and explaining that much stuff? Do you know what I mean? Like, it should be intuitive. And in a book, I think a magic system should feel lived in and should feel intuitive, and I don't need to know the inner workings of it for it to feel that way. Prompt 16 is classic fantasy races. So he used the example of like the traditional ones in like Tolkien stories, like elves and orcs and dwarves and that kind of thing. I'm going to go in. I don't know if this is a nostalgia thing, but there's just something comforting and familiar about those races, those characters. But I love a good subversion of what that means. And so I think it's nice to have like a framework that you feel familiar with, and authors can tweak that to make it feel fresh. Prompt 17 is unreliable narrators. This is another one I'm unsure of. I'm going to say out only because I don't think I've actually read a whole lot of books with unreliable narrators. I can really only think of a couple, and I haven't really liked them very much. And I think I would have to read more books with unreliable narrators before I could say that it's definitely that trope I don't like versus just not caring for those particular books. So I'm going to say out for now. Prompt 18 is evil protagonists. I am in. I think villains can be quite fascinating. It has to be done correctly, but there is an interesting psychology to characters that are really just messed up, evil people. And I don't know, there's just something compelling about the villain as the main character. I can't really explain it. It probably says a lot about me as a person, but I do enjoy that. Prompt 19 is the chosen one. Out, out, out. I hate this trope. I shouldn't say, I'm sure there's a couple books out there, right? There's an exception to everything. But for the most part, I just think this is so uninteresting. It's so uninteresting. I find the story of like just ordinary people who just had to deal with a situation and become, the heroes of their story. That's more interesting to me. Underdog stories. I love that kind of stuff. Chosen One, to me, is just boring. That's just like how boring. Prompt 20 is the protagonist dies. I'm going to say in. Again, this is one where I don't really feel strongly one way or the other. If it's done for like pure shock value, like, haha, look, I killed off my main character, like that kind of feels cheesy to me, but I can see this working in a lot of instances, so I'm going to say yes. Prompt 21 is really long chapters. Out. I fall asleep a lot while reading, so I do appreciate a nice short chapter so I can like get it done and feel like it's completed before falling asleep. Prompt 22, French flaps. Don't feel super strongly. I'm going to say in because sometimes it's nice to have it to use as a bookmark when you can't find another bookmark. So we'll say in. Prompt 23, Deckled Edges. I am so out. I just think they look messy and like the pages are like torn and like it doesn't, I just don't like it aesthetically. I like a nice clean line to my pages. Prompt 24 is signed copies by the author. I don't feel strongly about this either. I'm going to say in because I don't really have like signed by the author books. And so just through like jealousy, like I wish I had something signed by one of my favorite authors. Like that might be cool. We'll say in. Prompt 25 is dog earring pages. I'm going to say out for this one. I don't care what anyone else does with their books. Write in them, highlight, dog ear pages, whatever. I think a lot of bookish people are very precious about their books. Just my opinion. But personally, I don't like the little creases that dog earring leaves, like when I'm flipping through. So for my own books, I am out. Prompt 26 is chapter titles instead of numbers. I am definitely in for this one. I love a good chapter title. Sometimes it can be really enticing to read the next one if it's like dangling a carrot or it just sounds really weird or like you might learn something. It might unravel a mystery, whatever it is. Or maybe it's just like a curious title for a chapter. I like chapter titles. Sometimes they can be like funny or witty. It's just a nice added extra bonus to reading a book to have nice chapter titles. And I don't know if this is true, but it seems to me that it's like going out of style. I feel like the only time I really see books with titles is like my older books. Like I haven't really noticed newer books having chapter titles. Maybe I'm reading the wrong books. Middle grade always has chapter titles, and I enjoy that. So that's the in and out book tag. So I am going to tag AJ Dunn Reads and Writes to do this, and I am going to tag Courtney Ferriter, and gosh, I'm really bad with channel names. Reading with Tara? Or is it Tara Reads? I think it's Reading with Tara. I will link everyone's channel below. I can't remember if Tara does tags very often, but if this one strikes your fancy, then go for it. And I was gonna say Brian from Bookish, but he just got off a whole like tag bender. I don't think he's doing tags for a while. We'll just say anyone else who wants to do it, please feel free to do it. I hope you enjoyed this, and thanks as always for watching, and we'll chat soon. Take care.